Office. The agenda is hereby adopted as it has been sent in a draft version to the board. We now proceed with the second item on our agenda, which concerns the presentation of progress made on ICES's main working topic during the current presidency. As the esteemed members of the board may recall, during the General Assembly convened on the 6th of November of the previous year in Shanghai, People's Republic of China, Professor Dr. Gustav Becher was formally designated as a chargé de mission for a thematic priority concerning the development of a sustainability index for ICES. This initiative constitutes a central pillar of the current presidency's strategic roadmap, which is dedicated to advancing a model of broad-based and inclusive economic growth grounded in empirical analysis, long-term resilience, and social cohesion. I would like to invite the esteemed Professor Dr. Gustav Becher to share his presentation with this meeting. Mr. Becher, the floor is yours.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ladies and gentlemen, as an introduction, I start with 4 comments. The first is Sustainable Growth Index was developed by the Central Bank of Hungary in 2024. The GDP itself is not suitable for comprehensively measuring the development of the modern economy and well-being. Second comment, our results were first published in the global discussion paper entitled Sustainable GDP last year. Third, a report focusing on the Sustainable Growth Index of certain ACES member countries was introduced and discussed in Shanghai on the ACES General Assembly meeting on 6 November 2024. Fourth, this time we introduce a streamlined, or if you like, core version of the original Sustainable Growth Index. The main difference is reducing the number of the variables to 32 indicators instead of the original 64 indicators. The aim of this project is to make the index more easy to assemble in case of data scarcity. According to our test, the results are robust for changes. The structure of the presentation will be the following. First, introduction of a streamlined or core version for the computation of the Sustainable Growth Index. Second part, methodological background for the calculation. Third, robustness check of results for the narrowed indicator list. And finally, a short conclusion. I start with the presentation. I also would like to draw your attention to the slide. Would you kindly go to the page 4 of my presentation? Sorry. It should be in.
It is. Yeah.
Oh, yes, good. That's it. To go with you, with this one? Okay.
Just press this for the next
Oh, yes.
slide.
Yes, okay. Thank you. Now perhaps it works. So you see this chart, which is the original index used 64 indicators in 5 pillars. You could see that the 5 pillars are the following, starting from the top. Financial sustainability or pillar. And the second is right side, social sustainability. And the next is environmental sustainability and economic development, the GDP half pillar, and the economic sustainability, the blue one around the circle. And this chart also inform about the number of the indicators and the weights which were attached to them. So in case of, for example, financial stability, there were in the original system 16 indicators with 20 weight for this pillar. The social sustainability was with 15 indicators, again with 20% weight in the final results. The environmental sustainability, again with 60 indicators with 20 weights. And then the GDP, the development indicator, was 1 indicator. This is the GDP per capita indicator, but with also 20% weight. The economic sustainability was with 16 indicators, again with 20% weight. Now, turning to the part 1 of my presentation, it is how to go ahead. Okay, the next one. Okay, that was. Okay, we are here now. So turning to the part 1, which is the introduction of the streamlined core version for the computation of the Sustainable Growth Index. Here we reduce the number of input variables from 64 to 32. We cut the number of indicators by 50%. The number of pillars remained unchanged. Therefore, the variables came from the 4 plus 1 pillars, and then from the economic, financial, social, and environmental sustainability pillars. Here, there is a new development due to the fact that the financial pillar dimension is also built in the system against the other international uses when it is out of the 6 of the sustainable development pillars. The 32 indicators were chosen out of the original data set based on their relevance and availability. These variables are globally the most relevant ones, and they have a major impact on the outcome. Here, we could see now the changed model. Here, the same system, actually just differences in the number of the indicators. In case of financial indicators, from 16, we reduced the number of indicators to 8. In case of social sustainability, we changed the number of indicators from 15 to 7. In case of environmental sustainability, again, from 16 indicators to 8 indicators. The economic development, one indicator, of course, remained unchanged. The economic sustainability has 8 indicators against the former 16. And this is now the changed model, the streamlined structure of the suggested new model. Now, have a quick look on the reasons, considerations behind streamlining the list of indicators taken into account. The objective was here that making the index more easy to assemble in case of data scarcity. Again, within it, we given great attention to remain, to have in our new model is the relevant indicators, which are important from the point of view of the given area, economy or the financing, and so on. The next viewpoint was to keep in the most intuitive, well-known indicators, which are well-known for the society, used oftenly in public debate. So we wanted to keep again this type of indicators in the new model as well. The third consideration was that we wanted to prefer those indicators which are available in the very well-known statistical databases and other databases. The next consideration, when we changed the number of indexes, was keeping indicators that cover most aspects of the sub-pillars. So we, of course, also considered the nature of the sub-pillar, because without it, it would be too formal, this type of operation. Finally, we combined, in some cases, the indicators when it was possible. For example, in the case of life expectancy for men and women, it was separated in the former original model, and now we have just one indicator for it. In one case, even we introduced an absolutely new indicator into the system. Later on, I'll mention it. So check-in, also it was important that the result, the expected result we would have from the new streamlined model should be, as far as possible, close to the results we calculated with the big model, the original model with the 64 indicators. So, ladies and gentlemen, it was a very heavy, difficult work, task to consider this type of considerations, to balance them. And of course, we had to prepare several alternative versions for the new model, and we followed this type of consideration. Yes, The next slide illustrates the changes of indexes accordingly. I just want to show for a look the changes. The left side is the original list of indicators. The right side is about the streamlined version or the new remained indicators in the new model, the core model. You see, for example, the second indicator in the streamlined version model, that is the proportion of intangible investment with GDP. This is a very important indicator, but its weight was just 1–2% relative to the GDP. This is, as you know, the investment in the technical modernization, innovations, and so on. So it is perhaps, unfortunately, it is less important in the less developed countries than it is how important it is in the more developed countries. Another change. At the end of the streamlined version, we left out the ratio of knowledge-intensive employees. It is hard to measure, even in the most developed, technically equipped country. So this is why we left out from the list of the old indicators. The second pillar, the social sustainability pillar. Yes. Here, we, for example, leave out the healthy life years. And you see on the right side, which is left out, the self-reported unmet needs for medical examination. This is important, of course, but no information setback for it in the less developed countries. Oh, God. Okay, in this case, let's leave this type of concrete presentation. Well, okay, let's turn. No, that one. Yes, this one. Let's turn to how to calculate the results of each indicator. The various different units of measurement are used for the individual indicators. The indicators have other measurement. One is the number of men, and the other, and absolutely other type of measurement which has another indicator. So this is to avoid this difficulty. We need a special approach to aggregate the indicators. And then we followed this type of methodology, and we worked out a system which could be used for modeling without any difficulty of the understatement because of the different measurement of the individual indicators. Yes, here, let's see example how computing the scores. Let's see, for example, the investment rate. That is an indicator. What is the relationship in a country between the investment and the volume of GDP? This is the interest rate. Here we see the download of the available data, which is in the country files. And then we step now to another slide. Here we put Hungary, not because I am from Hungary, as a first country with the investment rate, because in Hungary, in the last 10 years, roughly, the investment rate was as high as 28.2%. The other countries, the EU countries, all are less than this top level. The selection of the indicators in the system work in a way that we select an optimum value of the index rate and indexes, which could be a minimum type, for example, optimum in the case of minimum type for the unemployment rate, because it is the first, if it is a smaller one. Or there is another type of optimum, it is the maximum indicator, or maximum level. That is for the life expectancy, for example. So life expectancy should be increased, and that is the positive development. And now, the model works in a way that make a comparison with the optimum rate in this example to the 28% invest rate, which is for Hungary. The other countries are lower, and the differences is evaluated by our model relative to the optimum case. Now, the first, to calculate the standard deviation for data of the EU member countries which are in the model. And that is standard deviation value as calculated in case of the investment rate is 3.5. This is now, should be used in our model in a way that how to calculate the so-called distances between the optimum case and the individual country cases. Here is a general formula for doing this. The formula tells us, I go to the next one, yes. In the case of this investment rate calculation, you see the green block, the best value for Hungary. It here is 28.2%. Then the comparative country in this case, in this example, is Italy. For Italy, the blue block, the value was 21.9%, so less than the Hungarian case. And this, the next step in this calculation logic is the following. What is the difference between the Hungarian rate and the Italian rate? it is in the following line 6.3 percentage point. This is the difference between Hungary and Italy. And then we now here use, this is what was the so-called, just a minute, which one? Okay. That was this deviation and sorry. Yes. The standard deviation was 3.5, I mentioned before. Here, we have to compare now the difference with the deviation, the standard deviation value, which is 3.5, and then we result in 1.8 points, because all this measurement is in form of points, and then there is a mistake in the typing here. The next line should be written twice, so one is unvalid, of course. So if we take into account the standard deviation, then we result to a value of 1.8 in the next law, and then the next to calculate what is the so-called punishment for Italy, or which is the difference between the highest value and the Italian value.
My dear professor.
Yes?
I need to interrupt.
Yes.
To jump to the conclusions.
To go to the
first.
conclusions.
Yeah. Due to time constraint.
Yes, we have time constraints, and then
Okay.
it's explanation, standard deviation, p-value, etc. Okay, it's very interesting. The document has been discussed at the last time in Shanghai.
No, but this is
with
simplified
yes,
version.
yes, with the intervention of also of Daniel Becker, and it's an ongoing, I suppose, procedure up to the final
Yes.
document in Curaçao. Huh?
It's an ongoing procedure. However, the idea was that the charge de mission, Professor Dr. Baja, which along with a team of experts from the Central Bank of Hungary, made a very elaborative empirical study regarding this sustainability index for our association. And the approach is basically narrow down the amount of indicators that were presented during the Shanghai General Assembly. So that what he was explaining, but we have to attain to the time frame. So it's a document that from the part of the chair, we ask all honorable members of the board to please take a good look at it and to come to a conclusion. And like you mentioned, Mr. Apostolos, the final report will be presented during the board in Curaçao. Okay? So I think, or I know, that it's very, very deliberative and very well thought investigation that has been conducted but we're sitting with the time constraint right now. So, Professor, with your indulgence, we will continue and passing the word to the chairman, Mr. Jacobs. Okay?
Well, thank you, Mr. Enriquez. Thank you, Mr. Secretary General, and surely my thank you to Professor Badger for to enlighten us with his insights on how to come to a workable method of measuring the development in the different countries. Um, what I'm looking for is the conclusion that we as a board affirm that the analytical approach and proposed methodology put forward by the Chargé de Mission will constitute the official way to go of ICESIS for this specific working topic during the current presidency. Um, of course, we look forward to a comprehensive interim evaluation of the progress during the General Assembly scheduled for the end of October in Willemstad, while also encouraging member institutions to submit feedback and insights in the intervening period. Are there from the members any members who want to comment on the presentation of Mr. Badger?
I wanted to very brief. Mr. Chair.
Yes, Mr.
Hello? Yeah. Mr. Chairman, I think I want to congratulate Professor Baja and also his team of scholars who put a lot of effort in simplifying basically the methodology and the conceptual framework that was presented in Shanghai, okay? And we were in deliberation these last couple of months in order for that a theoretical and methodological framework be simplified in order that it also can be of added value to other regions in the world, except of Europe, okay, in terms of data and so forth. So, Professor, we're very, very grateful for that. And again, from our part, and I think I speak for the whole board, and definitely from the chair of ICESIS, that all honorable members take good notice of this review, additional review, and that we can have during the next hybrid or physical board meeting in Curaçao, we will have an end report or interim report about it. It has an added value. It is important within this framework. And again, I reiterate what I stated before. Thank you, Professor Baja, for a groundbreaking work that you and your staff are doing currently. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Enriquez. Thank you, Mr. Badger, for the clear presentation. Mr. Badger, would you like to add anything at the end of this presentation?
Yes, I try to be very short. Would you kindly again
Please.
my slides? Yes. Yes. Here, the results of the new model. Sorry, I could not finish it. Here, you see the countries which change their position in the order of the European countries. That there are two countries who they stepped ahead in the EU country ranking. And then there are 5 countries in our new model as a result who lost their position. They occupied a less favorable position in the country ranking. And there were 5 countries who remained in the same country position in the list of the country ranking in the new model as well. And then this inform us about the working of the change model relative to the former so-called big model. I would like to get to the next one. I don't know what. The next one. Oh, this one. This is the correlation presentation of the closeness of the countries in the former
Is
big
this the
model
last
and
slide,
core model.
Honorable Professor?
Yes,
Okay.
and then you could see the closeness is very high, R19.3, which is a strong relationship. So it means that the new model is very almost identical with the former model. So this is why I could suggest it for your consideration if there is interest even yet for the model. Conclusions. Beyond GDP, further indicators should be developed that include the economic, social, and environmental aspects of the sustainability. The second, Sustainability Growth Index offers an opportunity to have a clear and comparable composite indicator for the ISIS countries if they are interested in. Finally, the results for the streamlined version, the score version of the Sustainable Growth Index are in line with the original calculation as shown by the correlation calculation. Thus, this more compact model provides a good proxy for the Sustainable Growth Index. So this is the final result of our experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Batch. Thank you once again very much for this presentation.
By Luxembourg, the president of the EEC of Luxembourg.
Thank you very much, Chairman. So I try to be very brief. First of all, thank you also from our side to Professor Baga for this insightful work, which is obviously very important, which underlines that assessing the economic, social, and economical aspects of a country is more than one metric, obviously. I would like to stress out, and maybe we can also share this work with you, that the Luxembourg Economic and Social Council did some pioneering work on this topic as well back in 2016. So we came up with a dashboard of economic, social, and environmental indicators that go in the same direction as the work that has been presented now, because social partners agreed that they needed to take a stance and needed to come up with common proposals to the government in the way we want to measure things like competitiveness, social inclusion, but also sustainability. So we have a work that we can share and that you might also consider in perfecting the work that has been put on the table. One comment, if I may, I would like to make. I don't agree with one declaration that is made in the paper that we received. So it is talk about an outdated metric. So GDP or GDP per capita is supposed to be an outdated metric. I believe the metric is not outdated, but it's the way we are using it that's the problem. You know, we take GDP and GDP per capita, and if I say we, it's the media, it's the policymakers, it's the commentators. We use it as a proxy, we use it as a shortcut, not to measure the aggregate production of a country, but we use it as a proxy to measure, I don't know, average income, state of development, but it has never been designed to do these things. So it is not outdated per se, it's just the way we were using it that is outdated, and therefore we have to use other indicators such as the one that has been presented. I believe we need to do two things in this respect. We need to focus on the indicators that are behind it, looking at one composite. If a composite indicator is one thing, it's very useful, it's very interesting, but it's always oversimplifying. So you also have to look at all the indicators in the dashboard. So that's also the message the Luxembourg Economic and Social Council did 10 years ago almost. There is a composite indicator, the media jumps on it, is a ranking of countries, but we know that reality is much more complicated than this. So I say we should look at the composite indicator, but we should also look at the different set of indicators. And maybe one last comment is the fact that GDP per capita is weighted much stronger than all the other indicators, 20% for one indicator. I believe, I don't know how you put it in the model, dear Professor Berger, but if you just take GDP per capita for one single year, you might have very volatile conclusions. So it's better to cater for random events, to put a 3-year average in GDP per capita. I think it smoothes out and it gives more the underlying fundamentals of the economy and not maybe one random event that happened in a given year. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for your contribution. Any other members want to?
Okay, thank you very much. Dear Chairman, I just have 3 short remarks. So for the development indicator, you take GDP per capita, and then it depends on the economy. If you consider Luxembourg, GDP per capita, if you compare it to the other countries, is something very special. Because GDP is generated not only by the inhabitants of Luxembourg, but by a lot of cross-border workers. You have 200,000 cross-border workers coming every day to Luxembourg from Germany, Belgium, France. They go back in the evening, but they are contributing to the GDP per capita. So that is something very different compared to other countries represented here. That is one remark. And then when you come to the robustness check, dear Professor Berger, you say that it is important to examine that whether the narrower database does not distort the original results. That's maybe on average true, but if we consider Luxembourg, we lost 4 places from position 5 to position 9. So we do not really agree that there is no distortion on that when you consider 32 indicators instead of 64. And a last remark, maybe there should also be some more explanation on what you call the investment rate. I think it's not as much explained in your text. Thank you very much.
We have another hand raised. Here, Ivory Coast, Côte d'Ivoire.
Je suis Nguessan Kouadio Claude, je suis le secrétaire général du Conseil économique, social, environnemental et culturel de Côte d'Ivoire. Je voudrais saluer et mon respect au président de l'AIC6 et aux distingués délégués qui sont là. Nous avons écouté le professeur à l'ordre du jour, au point numéro 2, il a inscrit le rapport sur le thème du travail principal. Ça veut dire que quand nous nous retournons dans notre pays, on devait pouvoir rendre compte dans notre rapport, on doit être au point numéro 2, qui traite du thème du travail principal. Voici ce qui a été dit. Malheureusement, pour des contraintes de temps, le professeur n'a pas pu faire son développement. Peut-être certains parmi nous ont des questions sur la suite de son développement. Ce qui a été retenu, que nous retenons tous, c'est qu'il a sourcillé à son travail et les documents finaux seront transmis à la prochaine réunion de l'AIC6. Alors, ce que je propose, comme il est là et que son document est là, s'il avait eu le temps, il nous devrait donner les termes de contenu de son document. Je propose que ce document-là nous soit transmis et que chacun de nous puisse, je vais dire, avant la prochaine réunion à Curaçao, puisse en tenir, je vais dire choses. Voilà. Voici la proposition que je fais.
Merci.
Je souhaiterais partir d'ici, à Abidjan, avoir ce document.
Merci, Claude, merci. C'est bien vrai. Ce rapport incroyable, établi avec beaucoup d'efforts, qui a été fait, avec les ajouts des membres, pourront être la base d'une conférence qu'on pourra établir pour débattre plus en détail sur ce rapport qui est innovant, qui est nouveau et qui a des éléments à explorer et à faire multiplier par les régions géographiques du monde. Donc, il y a déjà la base qui, n'est-ce pas? Et, bien entendu, vous aurez le rapport distribué pour des commentaires en fixant l'objectif à Curaçao au mois d'octobre d'avoir le temps d'apporter à M. Bagger les commentaires et les ajouts, comme certains qui ont été apportés aujourd'hui par l'honorable président du Conseil luxembourgeois et par l'honorable vice-secrétaire général de l'AIC6, M. Daniel Becker. Et bien entendu, votre commentaire, c'est bien sûr à retenir, à mettre en pratique. Donc je demande je prie M. Bagger et tous les autres qui ont des commentaires déjà sur ce qu'ils ont entendu, de lui faire parvenir leurs commentaires et qu'ils puissent les évaluer et les ajouter, n'est-ce pas? Madame du Mali, Madame la vice-présidente.
Bonjour. Bonjour, madame. That was the first request in Shanghai
Ok.
as well. But, yeah.
Moi, ma question, c'est par rapport au document qui est présenté au conseil d'administration. Donc, c'est une demande du conseil d'administration et je suppose qu'il y a eu des termes de référence par rapport à ce document. Donc, j'aurais préféré qu'on nous distribue ces termes de référence pour qu'on sache au moins le travail attendu.
Samira, ça a été déjà fait. Vous l'avez.
Merci.
Ça a été, tu as communiqué le rapport sur les emails, je suppose, du conseil, pas de tout à chacun. Mais maintenant, il s'agit de, oui, mais maintenant, il s'agit de communiquer les termes de référence. OK. Ça sera fait si ce n'est pas fait. OK. Donc, quelqu'un d'autre qui m'a intervenir? OK. Ah. Monsieur Rodolphe, vous avez la parole.
Thank you very much. I just noticed that my country is not on the report. So I know we are the smallest country in Europe, but I would be very happy if one day you can have enough data to put our country in the report too. Thank you very much.
Okay. Chairman, the floor is yours. Is yours.
Thank you. Yes, thank you, Mr. Sirafis. As I said before, I am apologizing for not being able to understand 90% of what is being said in French because I'm not receiving the simultaneous translation. Nonetheless, I would like to thank all my colleagues for their feedback and for sharing their insights with respect to the presentation of Mr. Bagger.